If you are a woman in transition, if you've ever had to look like you had it all together on the outside while privately wondering just how much you could carry, if you've ever smiled in public and cried in private, if you've ever asked God, is this really it? Then I want you to know something before I say anything else. You are not broken beyond repair. You are not too late, and your story is not over. My name is LaShanya, and this is Life with Shon. This space was created for the woman who is healing, rebuilding, and becoming. The woman who knows God is calling her forward, but still feels like pieces of her life are trying to catch up. And I didn't create this from theory or what I read in a book. I created it from life. You see, I had my first child when I was only 15 years old, and by the time I was 18, I had a second child. At that point in my life, graduating from high school was my goal. Now, that might seem simple to some people, but for me, it was everything. I was living on my own. I had children. I had bills. I had responsibilities that most teenagers couldn't even imagine. Now, while other people my age were thinking about prom, college, freedom, as they should have been, and what they wanted their lives to become, I was trying to keep a roof over my head, take care of my babies, and still finish high school. There were moments when graduating could have slipped away from me, but I held on to that goal, and by the grace of God, I graduated from high school with my graduating class. Now, that mattered to me, and it still matters to me, because that diploma was not just a piece of paper. It was proof that even with life pulling on me early, I could still finish something I started. Now, by the time I was 19, I had my third child. And by the time I was 22 years old, I found myself the mother of 4 children. Now, my first 4 children, they came from the same relationship. I share that because, I want my story to be honest, not because I owe an explanation. But what I need you to understand is this. While I was still young myself, I was carrying grown woman responsibility, children, bills, a household, decisions, pressure, fear, and the weight of trying to become a woman while already having to function like one. So, when I was 21, I thought I knew what I wanted. In my mind, turning 21 meant I was finally going to be able to live a little. I thought I was going to go to the clubs, party, and do the things I thought I'd miss because I became a mother so young. But you know what? God had a different plan. Even before I fully knew him, I knew I wanted something better for my children. I didn't want my children to be swallowed up by the systems and all the negative things going on out there. I didn't want them to be shaped by everything that I was trying to survive myself. So I made a decision to put them in a Christian school, even though I wasn't a Christian myself. And somehow, while God was, while I was trying to protect them, God himself was reaching for me. In October of 1992, I gave my life to Christ. I thought I was stepping into the world, but God pulled me right on into his kingdom. And what won me was not fear, it was love. Because, for the first time, I began to understand that God did not just want me to follow rules, but he loved me. He wanted a personal relationship with me. He saw me, he wanted me, and that became an anchor for my life. But giving my life to Christ did not mean everything instantly became easy, because about 6 or 7 months into my walk with God, I lost everything. I lost my apartment, I lost my belongings, and if I hadn't taken my clothes and my pictures with me, I would have lost those too. So for the next 18 months, I found myself homeless, living from place to place with my children, trying to hold on to God while my life looked nothing like the promise I had believed he had for me. And after God blessed me with a roof over my head again, I still didn't have much. I had 4 children, no car, a part-time job making $7.50 an hour, and I was still trying to pay bills and build a life. But in that season, God gave me a dream. In the dream, I stepped out of this beautiful luxury vehicle wearing an all-white suit. And in that dream, I knew I was a businesswoman. But that dream was not really about the car. It was about the woman. The woman in that white suit. That vision became an anchor for me. It helped me keep going when my reality looked nothing like what God had shown me. I mean, it helped me stay in school. It helped me stay with God. It helped me keep believing what I was becoming was someone that I hadn't fully seen yet in real life. So when you see me in a white suit, it's not just fashion. It's a reminder. God showed me a version of myself before my life had even had the evidence to match it. I had also been walking through a relationship that was abusive and dangerous. It was the kind of relationship that threatened my life. And when God delivered me from that relationship, I didn't just walk away from a person. I had to heal from that season because my mind was all messed up. My confidence was gone, my trust, my sense of worth, and my ability to believe that life could still be different. After that, I was single for 10 years. And then I entered another season that I believed would be restoration. Y'all ready for this? I married someone the day he came home from prison. And I want to be honest about that too. There was wise counsel in my life that cautioned me against that decision, especially the timing of it. But I was believing for restoration. I was believing in love. I was believing in second chances. I believed that faith, loyalty, and standing with someone through a hard season could help rebuild something. But sometimes when you have survived so much, you can mistake commitment for calling. You can mistake standing with someone for God, asking you to carry something He never told you to carry. Well, 3 months into the marriage, he walked out. We did have a period where we tried to reconcile, and during that season, I had my 5th child. And after 2 years, though, the marriage ended in divorce. Now, I need to say this carefully because this thing isn't about blaming people. This is about telling the truth. There were some seasons that don't just break your heart, but they make you question your judgment. They make you question what you believe. They make you question whether you heard God clearly. They make you look in the mirror and ask, how in the world did I get here? And then came motherhood and another kind of fire. Some of my children, they started walking through painful seasons of their own. Legal trouble, destructive choices, painful consequences. Things that broke my heart as a mother. And I'm going to be honest with you. There was a season when I was angry with God. Not because I did not believe Him, but I was angry because I did believe in Him. And I just couldn't understand what He was allowing. I tried to be faithful. I tried to stand. I had tried to love people well. I had tried to do the right thing. And still, I was just watching pieces of my life just feel like they were just all falling apart all around me. And I want to be honest about something else. I didn't always make perfect choices in pain. There were seasons where I was not just hurt, but I was also making decisions from a wounded place. There were things that I had to repent for, things I had to heal from, things that I had to let God correct in me. Because healing, it's not just about what happened to you. Sometimes healing is also about being honest about what pain caused you to tolerate, return to, or choose. I don't stand here or sit here as a woman whose healing has been perfect. Oh no. I still have tender places. I still have parts of my story that can bring tears to my eyes, but I'm not where I was. And I'm not who pain tried to make me. What I know now is that God was not absent in those seasons. He was forming something in me. He was teaching me that healing is not pretending you are fine. Healing is not rushing into the next thing just because you're tired of the last thing. Healing is not wearing strength like an armor while your soul is exhausted underneath it. Real healing requires honesty. It requires surrender. It requires telling the truth about where you've been without letting that place become your identity. Healing requires looking at the places where your survival became your normal and saying, God, I do not want to just survive anymore. I want to become. Years later, I faced another heartbreaking point. I lost my job. Matter of fact, I was fired. And within 60 days of that, I lost my home. I was facing homelessness again. Now, if you had looked at that season from the outside, it would have looked like everything was ending. But you know what? What looked like an ending became the beginning of something I never could have imagined. That was actually the starting point of Diamond Tax Solutions. The business that I proudly built from that season is now 13 years old. But even that is bigger than business, because what I learned is this. Sometimes God will allow the structure you were depending on to fall apart because he's trying to build something in you, something stronger, something better, not just around you, but in you. And that's why Life with Shon exists, because I kept meeting women who were standing in that same place, that same gap I once stood in. Women who were functioning, but not fully healed. Women who were praying, but still tired. Women who were strong, but secretly worn down. Women who had survived heartbreak, motherhood, divorce, disappointment, loss, transition, mistakes, regret, and reinvention, but still just didn't know how to step fully into the next version of themselves. And I knew they didn't need any more empty motivation. They needed truth. They needed faith. They needed language for everything they had survived. They needed structure for what they were becoming. They needed a space where they could be honest about the past without being trapped by it. That's what Life with Shon is. This channel is for the woman that's in transition. The woman who knows there is more, but something still feels stuck. The woman who is healing from the past, the woman rebuilding her identity, the woman restoring her confidence, the woman learning how to trust herself again, the woman trying to understand how to walk in purpose after pain. Here, we're going to talk about faith. We're going to talk about healing. We're going to talk about identity. We're going to talk about emotional strength. We're going to talk about discipline, confidence, self-worth, life systems, motherhood, transition, purpose, and becoming the woman God called you to be. But we're not going to do it in a surface way. This is not a channel for pretending. This is not a channel for hype. No, none of that. This is not a channel for making pain look pretty and moving on too quickly. This is a space for real conversations, faith-rooted conversations, honest conversations. The kind of conversations that help you, just stop surviving and start becoming. Because I know what it feels like to rebuild after loss. I know what it feels like to be disappointed and still have to get up. I know what it feels like to love people through hard seasons and still have to heal yourself. I know what it feels like to be angry with God and still be held by Him. I know what it feels like to make mistakes from pain, yet still be restored by His grace. I know what it feels like to start over when you don't have the full plan, but you have just enough faith to take the next step. And I also know this. Your pain may explain some things, but it does not define everything. Your pain may be part of your testimony. Oh yeah, but it's not the authority over your future. Because guess what? You are allowed to heal. You are allowed to rebuild. You are allowed to become someone your younger self needed. You are allowed to step into a season where you are no longer just carrying everything. You are learning to live. So if you are here, welcome. If you are in transition, welcome. If you are healing from something you don't always have the words for, welcome. If you have children you have prayed over, cried over, fought for, and still had to keep living through the pain, welcome. If you've had to start over more than once, welcome. If you have made mistakes you are still healing from, welcome. If you know God is calling you forward, but you still feel like you are gathering the pieces, welcome. This is Life with Shon, a space to heal, rebuild, and become. Now, if this message resonates with you, I need you to do 3 things for me. First, like this video so it can reach another woman who may need this reminder. Second, subscribe to Life with Shon, because we're going to keep having honest, faith-rooted conversations about healing, identity, confidence, purpose, and becoming. And third, type in one word below, becoming, because what we are doing here, that's exactly what we're doing. We're not stuck. We're not letting the past have the final word. We are healing. We are rebuilding, and we are becoming.